Hey guys, welcome back. This is Blue Forest. So today I just wanted to do a follow-up review of the game because we now have had it back for about 6 weeks. When I did my first review last month, the game had only been out for about a week, so now we have a lot more information. We've been able to play a lot more. We've been able to rank up rosters. We've had access to more game modes like gauntlets and things like that. And of course, we've been doing AMs for about a month now. And so I thought it would be a good idea to give you an updated review now that we know, much more what the game is really like and how it's progressing. And so I would say that overall, I am quite happy with the game. Just in terms of the new progression of the game, in terms of how we're getting access to resources like Energon and Sparks and so forth, and just the gameplay in general. I think that overall, things are looking pretty good. There are definitely still some problems. There are bugs. There are major issues with zero communication from Netflix, for sure. But there have been some improvements made compared to the old days. And I am very pleased that the game is no longer in Kabam's hands. If you have watched my channel, you would know that I had a very low opinion of Kabam. They are just a really horrendous, pathetic company, and I am really glad to just never have to deal with them ever again. And so even though there are some issues with Netflix, there are certainly some very noticeable improvements compared to how things used to be. And so we don't know exactly what Netflix's plans are, right? That's one of the major sort of outstanding questions because we don't have much communication from them. They don't give access to any sort of forums or servers. We don't hear from them really at all, right? So if they release something, they just put it out. If they fix a bug, they don't tell us. We just kind of have to figure it out on our own, right? And that is problematic. It has been suggested to them, including by me, that, at the very least, they could send us an in-game mail if they fix something. So that's frustrating, but to their credit, they have fixed some major bugs and glitches. There are still some things that do need to be resolved, that's for sure. But even though we don't know how Netflix is really going about things, and even though it's also true that gaming is not Netflix's cup of tea, really, they're still pretty new to gaming. Obviously, Netflix makes almost all of their revenue from movies and TV and so forth, but they have said that they are making a major investment into gaming. They clearly want their gaming division to become more popular. Whether or not they're successful in that, we have no idea. However, it doesn't really matter because one thing about Netflix is that they are a gigantic company, right? Their revenue is 1,000 times what Kabam's is, and so they can afford to make major investments into things like gaming and even lose money on them for a while with basically no negative consequences for them. So they do seem to be in on gaming and committed to it for a while. And so even though we don't know, how long is the game going to be with us, anything like that, they do seem to be committed, at least with TFTF, for the next year or so. We have things like 6 acts, for example. We've been getting a new chapter every 2 weeks. And so that means that we're getting a new act every 2 months if they follow the same schedule for the rest of the acts. And so, by the time we get to the end of Act 6, we will have had the game for roughly a year at that point, close to it. We are getting access to more bots, right? So, for example, we are going to be getting OGM back, Megatron this weekend, right? So we're getting the last chapter of Act 2 later today. So once you complete that, you will get a 4-star Megatron. They did also confirm that the Beast Wars characters are coming back in Act 3. So we will have access to them again in a matter of weeks. It'd be really nice if we got some of the other Decepticons back playable as well again soon. Bots like Galva and Cyclo. We don't know about that, but hopefully we'll get access to them again before long. And of course, having AMs is, really important and, really good for us. The gauntlets, of course, were also excellent. The ones that most of us have been able to play, right? So I've gotten access to 4 of them. All of them were good. I mean, the Mirage Gauntlet is nothing special, but obviously the Grimlock Gauntlet, amazing. And both the Jazz and Ramjet Gauntlets, also very good. Not as good as the Grimlock Gauntlet, but you still got, I think, something like 400,000 bot chips for both Jazz and Ramjet. And there are going to be a few more gauntlets that come out over time with higher level achievements. And so, the content is satisfying. There's enough to do in the game. I don't think we're going to be getting time slides back, but that's fine because that's basically all we had, for the last couple of years of the Kabam days. We have no idea if we're going to be getting any sort of LOC type missions, but those could come later. And so, I think in terms of content, in terms of bots, there is enough to keep players happy as long as they keep releasing things and we get access to more bots and all of that. We are also getting more access to Energon than we used to in the old game. It's not way more, but it is more. So if you are playing regularly, you can get over 4,000 Energon per month. And of course, it's really nice that we have no ads, no in-app purchases, nothing like that. So, everything is just a grind now, right? The whales cannot take advantage of spending their way into faster progress. That's not possible anymore. So it's a very even playing field. And it's also very nice that we can buy resources in the store. Like the fact that you don't have to grind for all these sparks is really good. It is disappointing that we have at least temporarily lost Fog of War. Hopefully that comes back soon because that is actually really useful for grinding, not only for sparks, but also for gold and ore. So I don't know if they've just taken away Fog for a little bit, but hopefully we get that back soon. But regardless, the fact that you can buy pretty much any sparks you need is nice. So that is helpful for doing things like rank ups. And so overall, like I said, I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty satisfied. Now, there are definitely, like I said, communication issues, and there are still bugs and glitches. I'm not going to go over all of them, but there are 3 that I do want to mention. So number 1, of course, the most pressing issue is the fact that teams are not getting shards for AM completion, right? So there's lots of teams that are doing AMs and should be getting 4-star shards every day, and they're not working, they're not being awarded. That is very annoying. Netflix has been made very aware of that, so I really hope they resolve that soon. And there have also been issues with shards not being awarded in other game modes, like in arenas and dailies and so forth. So that's a big outstanding issue that does need to be fixed. And then there are a couple other things that are not in the game that really should be, or at least we should be given some sort of update about, right? So for example, the fact that we don't have access to kits, to items for AMs is kind of a big deal, because right now the only way to get revives or repair kits is to buy them, and they're very expensive. Hundreds of Energon for a single revive is dumb and feels like a waste. It's not very helpful. So we don't have the Titan mission back, where you used to be able to farm for items. We don't have the items that we used to be able to get from the raid store. So I don't know if they just forgot about those things, or if they just assume that they don't need to give us those things because we do get a steady stream of Energon, but we do need those things back. And that will become only more important as people start doing higher level AMs, because as it is now, you could spend a week's worth of Energon on just a few kits, and that's just wasteful and doesn't make any sense. So I really hope that we get access to AM items again soon. And then the other thing is, there is way too little access to lower tier sparks, like tier 2 and T3 sparks, because once you complete Act 1, you get almost nothing on that front, right? So T2B, T3B, and then T2 and T3C. Super hard to get. You only get a little bit of essence from dailies. When we had fog, it was only a little bit of essence for a run. You only get a little bit of T3B for AM milestones. And so as it is now, you're having to spend energon to rank up 2 and 3 star bots, which is important for forging purposes and also will become more important as teams start doing higher level AMs. Getting even 1 or 2 of your top bots to Forge 100 can make a big difference in difficult content. Now, it's true that the T2 and T3 sparks are cheaper than the higher tier sparks, but it does just feel kind of dumb to spend energon to rank up a 2-star bot, So it'd be nice if there were a few other ways to get access to those tier 2 and tier 3 sparks. Whether that actually happens or not, I have no idea, but it would be a good thing. And so, anyway, those are the 3 main issues I wanted to highlight. There are definitely other bugs with bots, with, problems with bots kits. Obviously, all the old issues with gameplay, like air punching and the opponents being able to block specials at the end of combos, all of that nonsense is still there and will probably never get resolved. So you just have to be willing to live with that, right? But like I said, otherwise, I think the progression of the game does make sense. They do seem to have everything mapped out for a while, even though they're not giving us much notice about anything or really communicating at all. We are going to be getting a lot more of the story. We do have the new AM map, which is a very welcome change. We do know that 5 stars will be coming in Act 4, so that'll be fun. We are getting new bots gradually over time. And so if you have not returned to the game, or if you're getting back into it and you don't feel sure about it, I do think it's worth it to play. It's just as fun as it used to be. It's the great, awesome, super fast-paced, intense gameplay that we always had. We do have access to a lot of characters, and so there's a lot of bots you can play with. And so even though there are some issues, there are definitely still some problems that need to be resolved. I do feel optimistic, even though we don't know, obviously what Netflix's long-term plans are. So I think it's very worthwhile to play if you used to play, if you're getting back into it. The fact that we don't have any ads, any in-app purchases, any nonsense from Kabam anymore is a very good thing. And so I do feel cautiously optimistic, right? Things could go downhill and maybe the game will be shut down in 6 months, but at least for the time being, I am very happy to be playing again, and I think it is worthwhile for players who are returning, and I do know that a lot of players have returned to the game. We are getting some new players, and so even though this game was never the most popular game, and I'm sure it never will be, hopefully we will also continue to get a steady stream of new players joining the ranks as well. And so I will leave it there for now, guys. Those are my thoughts after playing the game for a little over a month. So do let me know if you have any questions. I hope all of you are well, and we will be in touch again next time. Take care.